As incumbents and new representatives prepare for their next term in office after the election yesterday, 5 towns and villages across central New York are now preparing for retail marijuana dispensaries.
In a direct referendum, voters choose not to prohibit the sale of marijuana in their towns and villages. Our Connor White joins us in the studio. He's been following this issue and sorts it out. And Connor, it takes a little bit of work to understand what exactly was approved or not last night.
Yeah, the question was in the negative, so a couple questions left today, but one of the biggest remains for Tully and the village of Camillus as to whether or not that result will even hold. The proposal to prohibit marijuana sales was defeated by just 10 votes in the village of Tully and only 4 votes in the village of Camillus. The village mayor there says he's waiting on the absentee count before commenting. But for the towns of Geddes and Homer, the numbers are pretty clear. Marijuana dispensaries will be able to legally operate. On Election Day, voters in the town of Homer and 5 other towns and villages faced a yes or no question on their ballots, whether or not they wanted to prohibit retail marijuana sales.
Some thought voting no meant that they didn't want marijuana. Some obviously do want marijuana and voted no for that reason.
Homer Town Supervisor Frederick Forbes thinks the negative phrasing may have tripped some folks up, but the numbers are clear. In Homer, 110 more people voted no, defeating the proposal and clearing the way for marijuana shops to open.
I really didn't expect it to go this way, but we will just ask our town council where we go from here.
What those exact next steps are, however, isn't clear for local leaders.
We're looking to the State Commission for the release of the rules and regulations. We have not received that yet.
Town of Geddes Supervisor Jerry Albrigo says he spoke with lawyers this morning after Geddes voters decided to allow marijuana shops by a margin of 174 votes. Still waiting on the newly formed State Board of Cannabis Management for rules and regulations, even as towns were required to opt in or out by the end of the year.
So it doesn't surprise me with New York State the way that they sometimes do business. You would think they would have these out and in hand before we put propositions out in form of referendum to the public, but they're not. So we deal with that.
While they wait on specifics, he says he's already been approached by Geddes business owners interested in opening marijuana shops and lounges.
It may pan out in 2022 to be a financial benefit to the town.
Albrigo says he's confident towns and villages will be able to implement localized rules for operation on marijuana shops should they open up. Both he and other local leaders have raised location as a big concern, hoping to have rules on minimum distances from schools and places of worship.
And COVID vaccines for 5 to 11-year-old children are coming.
The CDC granted emergency use authorization for the shots last night, opening the door for more than 28 million kids to get protected from COVID. Local health experts now urging families to trust the vaccine and get their kids vaccinated. Tony Black is live in Syracuse for us tonight. Tony?
Matt and Megan, kids 5 to 11 are now eligible to get vaccinated against COVID-19, which means thousands of more Central New Yorkers can get those doses. Today, I talked with a doctor here at Upstate University Hospital about what parents should do if they're considering signing their kids up.
Vaccinating children will protect the child, and it will also help protect the community.
Kids 5 to 11 can now get vaccinated against COVID-19. Dr. Stephen Blatt with Upstate University Hospital calls it awesome news.
It's just terrific that we can bring this very important medical technology prevention device to young kids.
I, per usual, went live on Facebook today to hear from parents, some saying they already signed their kids up to get vaccinated. My daughter is scheduled for November 9th, one mom wrote. Others are not quite ready to get their kids the vaccine. Needs more info and research, someone said. I do not trust the vaccine, a parent wrote. Won't let my children get this vaccine. Dr. Blatt says if a parent has concerns, rely on your kid's doctor.
Because I trust you, my doctor, my nurse practitioner, way more than I trust the internet.
Parents can start signing kids up at certain pharmacies and doctor's offices. Walgreens has appointments open at select sites in the region. One parent shared with me on the Facebook Live that she signed her daughter up at the drugstore in Oneida. Most pediatric offices I spoke with today say they are still waiting to get more information on when they will get the vaccines. An Ithaca office told me they're signing their patients up for Friday vaccine appointments. And with the high demand, Dr. Blatt says it will take some time to roll out.
But I am very hopeful that within the next few weeks, more and more sites are going to come online.
county health departments will also play a role in getting these vaccines out to the kids. Onondaga and Tompkins counties are planning to have, again, those vaccine clinics within the school districts and also off-site clinics. Madison County, they're waiting to see what the demand is, and they say if there is a demand, they will hold the clinic. And it's also important to note, the doctor says that there's a misconception that children cannot get severely ill from this virus, which he says is not true.
There's a video making the rounds on social media showing multiple men yelling at an Onondaga County poll worker on election night, making a scene at a polling place yesterday.
Tonight, Onondaga County elections officials and neighbors are waiting in line to vote, and they are speaking out against this behavior. This video was taken at the Irwin Church polling location on Euclid Avenue. A man wearing a black and white sweatsuit and a man in an orange hat can be seen yelling at other voters and the elections workers running that location. The person who took this video says the conflict started when the man in the orange hat refused to wear a mask.
Now, elections officials say this was not an isolated incident on Election Day, and poll workers deserve more respect for the important job they do.
They're basically volunteers. Yeah, they get a little bit of pay, but really they're being paid minimum wage, and they're just there to help preserve that person's right to vote who's actually getting angry. That is concerning.
Alex Waldauer took the video of the conflict at the polls. He's a voter who went to vote with his young children, he says. It's a tradition, he says, that he uses to teach his kids the importance of the democratic process. This year, instead, they saw poor behavior, took something away from his family's experience while voting.
It was uncomfortable, I mean, to say the least, and frustrating, because this isn't really what this is supposed to be about. You know, it's supposed to be about the importance of voting and participating in democracy. And, you know, instead it just becomes this kind of chaotic scene, one that I'm concerned about my kid being, you know, traumatized by.
Waldauer says the incident confused and scared his children. He hopes next time his family goes to the polls, they have a better experience with the behavior of the other people who are there while voting.